You look at your past and your sin, and you wonder, what can God do with the results of my past and the results of my mistakes? Well, listen to this. Solomon was the king of Israel. He was a great leader. He is considered the wisest man to ever live. He was the one who built the first temple in Jerusalem. He wrote the Song of Solomon, the book of Ecclesiastes, and the book of Proverbs. Solomon was the son of King David. I think most people know that David was his father. But I think most people forget who Solomon's mother was. Solomon's mother was Bathsheba, the woman that David committed adultery with. The woman David sinned with is Solomon's mother. How could such a wise, powerful, great man of God like Solomon come from a relationship that started off as sin? From a relationship that started off in adultery? How could God choose to continue the throne of Israel through the child of a relationship that started in sin? What may actually be considered the greatest fall of any man in the Bible, the fall of King David. How could God use a mistake like that? The throne didn't go to any one of David's other sons. David had many sons. David's son Adonijah actually tried to make himself king. But David said no. Solomon has been granted by God to be king. So David had Solomon anointed king of Israel. Now, David still had to face the consequences of his sin. But he was forgiven by God. David was ashamed of what he did. He asked for forgiveness and he was forgiven. So what am I trying to say here? The Bible says in the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 28, God makes all things work together for the good for those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. The mistakes and the mess that you've been through, God can still use for the good. That bad relationship, that divorce, you dropping out of school, you had a child outside of marriage, you may have even been in legal trouble. All the sin and all the mistakes, including your family history, the mistakes your parents made, or generational curses. Somehow, some way, whether it be with you directly or your children, whether it be today, tomorrow, next year, or in 10 years, God can still use everything for the good. God makes all things new. We may not understand how he does it, and we may not understand why he does it, but he does. This message of redemption shouldn't give us a reason to sin. This shouldn't give us an excuse to sin. But the message of redemption and grace should give us hope for when we fall short. Hope. Hope that if you love God and if he's called you, he can make everything work together for the good. So when you feel like your situation is too far gone, when you feel like there is no hope, when you feel like there is no hope for the mess that you made or for your mistakes, remember, God chose Solomon.